Vote for hope. My young friends, this is not a matter for only the Honorable Kamala Persad and her government. This is a matter for every single one of us. Let's take a stand. Go and register yourself to vote. Give yourself a chance and give yourself an opportunity. The Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessar has committed to creating 50,000 more jobs, just like she did in 2010 to 2015. But we the youths have to do our part. We have to ensure that she gets that opportunity to be the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Mr. Joseph Tony.
Live from the constituency of Tangier, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joseph Tony.
My dear colleagues at the head table, members of parliament, senators, Senator Mahabir, congratulations and welcome to Toko Sangre Grande, my brother. Mayors, councillors, aldermen, loyal and faithful activists of the United National Congress, all of the listening and viewing public, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good night. I had many matters to talk about tonight in Toko Sangre Grande. But I chose one topic because I feel it is the most important topic to my mind. And that is the topic that I've chosen: how the Rowley PNM cabinet has transformed itself into the new Central Tenders Board. I raise that topic, brothers and sisters, because the PNM has a history of preaching good governance, anti-corruption measures, morality in public affairs. But I shall try to demonstrate to you this evening, by their conduct, especially in the matters of procurement, where their conduct has fallen short by far. We start, brothers and sisters, with their manifesto, page 44. Page 44 of their manifesto, if you want to go and check it, hear what they have to say about procurement. They started off with the usual blah, 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 UNC this, Kamala that, that's the other. Then they said, the PNM will waste no time in addressing this very important issue. That is the issue of public procurement. They will consult with all the stakeholders and implement a realistic timetable for the full implementation of the Public Procurement Act. This was in September 2015. Listen what the Express had to say, the Express newspaper in an editorial had to say in January 2019. They were criticizing the government and telling Minister Imbe to get cracking on the business of public procurement regulations. Because as far as they knew, that's the Express, the regulator, Munilal Lakshman, had sent these regulations to Minister Imber since December 2018. And all Minister Imber had to do was to take these regulations to Parliament to activate the legislation. Minister Imber promised to do that by March of this year. Today we are in May. No movement whatsoever. But brothers and sisters, let me tell you, that wasn't something that was done unconsciously. That wasn't something that he accidentally forgot. My submission here to you tonight is that it is an orchestrated plot on the part of the Rowley cabinet to avoid accountability and public scrutiny on their procurement practices and to facilitate corrupt practices. All you ain't clapping? I want to go to the port. I spent a little time at the port. I want to go to the port. You remember the Superfast Galicia? The Superfast Galicia was working well. Nobody had a problem with it. Out of the blue, the Rowley cabinet said, we don't want the Superfast Galicia anymore. We want a new boat. So Good Friday 2017, they got rid of the Superfast Galicia. Nothing to put in place, they hired, the cabinet, a barge, the Trinity Transporter barge. And hear what they had to say about the Trinity Transporter barge. A barge, put it on the high sea, put your goods on it, sea, throwing up all the seawater on it, destroying your goods. They say it was nothing short of a fiasco. This is the stakeholders of the Inter-Island Sea Bridge. A disgrace and a backward step for the transportation of cargo between Trinidad and Tobago. The Trinity Transporter barge. And so, the Trinity Transporter barge was transported away. But they didn't stop there. They went and they got the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower. This is the cabinet of this country. And hear what Dr. Rowley had to say in August 2017 in an interview with an investigative reporter at the Magdalena Hotel about the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower too. He said he was convinced that something crooked may have gone down with the procurement process for the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower 2 vessels. This is the Prime Minister speaking. And what did he do about it? Zilch. Nothing. He's saying that it's a crooked deal, yet he did nothing about it. Did he call in the Minister of National Security, the Attorney General, say, fellas, this thing looking crooked, get cracking on it, find out who is behind it? No! Nothing was done. But they didn't stop there. They didn't stop there, brothers and sisters. They went to the cabinet and they said, we want to get a new boat still. And they appointed a cabinet subcommittee to go and buy the Galleon's Passage. No procurement, no tendering, no competitive bidding, no evaluation of bids, nothing of the sort. $140 million, your tax dollars, to buy the Galleon's Passage. But that is not all. When the Galleon's Passage was found to be unsuitable for the Inter-Island Sea Bridge, they said, you know what Mr. Imber said? We buy that so that when we build the port in Toko, we will use the Galleon's Passage to travel between Toko and Scarborough. You ever hear such dotishness in your life? Let me tell you something about the Toko port. I'm not talking about the Toko port tonight. Another night we'll talk about that. Nobody knows when construction on the Toko port will start. Nobody knows when it will finish. Nobody knows the cost of the Toko port. But that is not all, brothers and sisters. They were not satisfied with that. They went to Australia, the Prime Minister and his sidekick Minister of Everything, Stuart Young. And they wined them and they dined them in Australia. And then they took them to some shipyards. And the Prime Minister, as though he buying shoes or he buying bread, said, listen, I'm going to take 2 fast ferry vessels and I'm going to take 2 naval vessels for the Coast Guard. You ever see people buying boats, so? No specifications, no consultation with the Coast Guard. $500 million US. Just so. Just like that. Take up our monies and say he's buying these boats. And that is not all. That is not all. They're still not satisfied. Recently, they went to Malta to hire another ferry. The Jean de la Valette. Those of you who are good in French, I don't know what that means. Another boat at the rate of $271,014 per day. So in the space of 2 years, brothers and sisters, here in Toko Sangre Grande, in the space of 2 years, 2017 to 2019, by my calculations, this government has leased or bought 6 boats and 1 barge. Brothers and sisters, I am told that the political leader has arrived, so I have to
It's the political moment you've been waiting for. Toko Sangre Grande. Let's all welcome the political leader of the United National Congress, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, live in Toko Sangre Grande. Yes! The magic has arrived, and this is the politics of
We welcome into Sangre Grande here tonight a lady who has demonstrated greatness in governance. And we wish her all the best. And I say to you tonight, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, that we shall be working very, very hard to ensure that you become, after the general elections of 2020, the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Before our next Prime Minister entered, I was talking about the corruption of this cabinet, having assumed unto themselves the functions of the Central Tenders Board. And as someone was telling me, it is as if the PNM Corruption Manual, authored by Johnny O'Halloran and Francis Pravat, and fine-tuned by successive PNM administrations, is being followed to the letter by this Rowley PNM cabinet. They corrupt to the core. And I want to say to you tonight, my brothers and sisters, as I close now, that they will want to lecture to us about corruption, morality in public affairs, as though they are holier than the Pope and Mother Teresa combined. I could have spoken to you about more tonight. The Sandals Project, Alwari Family Building, the Novo Technology contract. Time doesn't permit. We have to vote out these scams. You hearing me good? We have to ensure that they do not get a second term. So whether you swear on the Bible, whether you swear on the Quran, whether you swear on the Bhagavad Gita, I say to you here tonight, put aside your ego, put aside your differences. Let us hold hands. Next local government election, next general elections, and vote the UNC back into government in Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you. Have a good night.
And when Thank you, Chairman. Political leader, the Honorable Dr. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Senior Counsel, Dr. Bisesa, members of Parliament, senators, chairmen, councillors, constituents of Toko Sangre Grande, and other distinguished guests, members of the media, and the UNC family, I say good night. It is an absolute pleasure for me to be here tonight to address you. Tonight I feel privileged standing at my alma mater and in the hometown of the Trancoso family. So again, I say good night, Sangre Grande. To everyone in the audience, those watching on television, those listening on the radio, I want you to know that I am one of you. I was born homeless to a 15-year-old mother, and I grew up in a squatting area, and we had to tote water and bathe by the standpipe. I used latrine, and I lived in a board house. I was fortunate, and I thank God for putting the right people in my life who guided me. It so happened that I was successful at my CXC exams, and the choices of work available to me back then was to get one of those jobs in the services. So I became a police officer. I took that job very seriously. So all the crime fighting techniques, I knew them and I employed them. As a police officer, I soon realized that I could only do so much for my people from that institution. So I decided to become an attorney at law. It was not as easy as I make it sound here. You see, it required blood, sweat, and tears. The road to success, young people, is long, it is hard, and it's a lonely one. People who are with you today will leave. They won't understand, but I urge you to persevere. Remain focused. I tell you, hard work rewards dividends. So don't let anyone tell you you can't. As I said, I was born on the streets to a single mother. I grew up in an environment where education was not seen as important. I remember while growing up, I was saying how much I valued education, and my friends laughed at me. They told me you can't take education to the bank or to the supermarket. Listen, all sorts of things will be thrown at you. I remember my dad losing his jobs when I was in secondary school, right here, and being mortified at the prospects of not finishing school. So even though times are hard, remember hope comes, and this time it comes riding in with the United National Congress. So now I'm an attorney, and sometimes I ply my trade right here at the Sangre Grande Magistrate Court. So I understand the problems in the court system right here in Sangre Grande. But to further help my people, I became heavily involved in politics, and I chose the UNC because of its mandate and because of its philosophy. I know that this is the party to take the country in the future, and our leader has a heart for the people. So when I say I am one of you, I am truly one of you. I can identify with the lowest straight through to the highest, and I understand crimes from all sides. And today, I want to say that we live in perilous times. I know of families in Sealots and George Street, Port of Spain, that are being chased out of their homes by gangs, and they have no one to stand up with them. For half of a century, the PNM government has been supported by these people, and the PNM government has turned their backs on them. How much more opportunities must they give this PNM government? Well, tonight, I say enough is enough. To my brothers and sisters in East Port of Spain, I invite you to become part of the United National Congress One Corridor movement. We welcome you with open arms. In the UNC, we love everybody. We are only against Rowley and his elitist group who have taken your votes and turned their backs on you. So Port of Spain East, I want you to show me your finger. Vote for your best interest. Vote for the UNC. Under the PNM, crime is up. All the PNM statistics trending in the wrong direction. Job creation down and crime is up. People are frustrated. People are fed up. People are desperate. And then on top of it, our young people are being profiled and targeted as pests. I know. I was a police officer. Look at what happened in Carenage 3 weeks ago. It could have happened to any one of us. A 14-year-old teenager, a promise never fulfilled, a grieving, confused mother who saw the video of the funeral of Naomi Nelson. The mother's heart was ripped out of her soul as she lowered that coffin into the grave. You see, collateral damage is always a byproduct of any war. And little Naomi Nelson was a byproduct of this senseless war. Time and time again I say, we don't fight crime. Crime is a problem. We solve problems. Therefore, we solve crime. So I guarantee you, if another approach was taken to treat against the crime problem that young teenager from Carenage and so many of our loved ones may very well still be with us here today. Naomi didn't have to be collateral damage, and our future prospect is lost. She could have been a police, she could have been a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer. We will never know. Why did she have to die? This war needs to stop. We need crime to be treated professionally. The government has to provide the police with the appropriate tools so they could serve the people more effectively. You see, under the PNM, the entire system has failed and needs renewed life. And if they want a war, this is what it is they should use in their war. Jobs, modern education systems, better social programs, proper health care, appropriate legislation, strong institutions, and a better judicial system. This is what our political leader used during the 2010-2015 regime, and that is why tonight I stand with Dr. Kamla Prasad Bissessa. Last week, it was reported that 8 young black men escaped from prison. The prison system is totally oppressive for the prisoners and the prison officers themselves. This thing, not easy. When someone is arrested in this country for a capital matter, 10 years of their life is already gone. So our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our sisters, aunts, mothers, uncles, and fathers, just in jail, waiting for a decision from the court. And for the other side, the side of the families of the victims, they themselves are not sure what is the outcome. In a society that is developing, we don't have enough magistrates. State prosecutors and the justice system is slow. I went to court for a 14-year-old, and just to get a decision, it has taken 6 months for this child to get a state prosecutor to actually come to court to even start the matter in this modern time. Sometimes I ask myself, does this government even care that so many of us are killed, whether it be by bandits, businessmen, police officers, in the hospitals, or on the nation roads? Do they even have a value on our lives? It feels as though the walls are crumbling on us together as a people. But we must rise. Trinidad and Tobago, rise. Arise, my people. Arise together. Let not creed, race, culture, or class divide us. We have to do this together. How many of us are barely clinging on to life? But don't die now. No, you can't die now. Dig deep and find that strength and go early to that polling booth on the morning of election and vote for the United National Congress. I urge you to vote for life, to vote for change, vote for a leader that has the heart of compassion. Vote for the United National Congress. I thank you.
The Honorable Political Leader, Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Dr. Bissessar, fellow presenters, members of Parliament, senators, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to you all. I would like to begin by extending my sincerest thanks and appreciation to Mrs. Bissessar for her warmth and generosity in allowing me the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Lorne Diaz, a qualified professional who fell prey to the heartless, spiteful, oppressive, Rowley-led PNM regime. Today, what you see happening all across Trinidad and Tobago is demotivating. And the truth is, I am fed up. I am fed up of seeing institutions being destroyed. I am fed up of seeing families falling further and further behind as they struggle to survive in this period of massive discord. There is just a blatant disrespect and disdain, lack of care and concern for the working class, for poor people, and for our children. And I know, just like me, you must be looking on just absolutely disgusted by this PNM approach to governance. How the PNM acts as politicians and how the PNM treats our citizens. We, especially our children, deserve to be inspired by our representative. Mrs. Bisesa, to me, signifies representation that is fearless, principled, caring, with a genuine desire to protect the rights of all law-abiding citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Mrs. Bisesa's concern for the youth, the poor, and the elderly cannot be matched. In just 5 years, she was able to increase the minimum wage from $9 to $15 per hour, build 83 new primary schools and 83 early childhood centers, give laptops to all secondary school children, create the Children's Life Fund to ensure that children living with life-threatening medical conditions can access funding and medical care, deliver the long-denied Scarborough General Hospital, and develop the 240-bed San Fernando Teaching Hospital, increase the senior pension from $1,950 in 2010 to $3,500 in 2014. She also removed VAT from over 7,000 food items. Just a few weeks ago, Mrs. Bisesa moved 63 amendments to the Civil Asset Recovery and Management and Unexplained Wealth Bill single-handedly in one day. That is true representation. But the PNM has been in government for 49 out of 59 years. 49 years in government. And what does Laventille, Port of Spain, Diego Martin, San Fernando, Arima have to show for it? I believe if something doesn't serve you, get rid of it. It's time. It's time to get rid of the PNM. It's time to get them out. We deserve better. Our children deserve better. Our children deserve better. The decisions the PNM are making are the difficulties you and I are facing right now. I will continue to face tomorrow. They like to say PNM till we dead. But let me tell you, if they get another 5 years, we will really die. They like to say we're red and ready. Red and ready for what? Red and ready to do what? And red and ready for whom? Let me tell you, they're red and ready to help rich people get richer. They're red and ready to make us poor, hard-working, law-abiding citizens suffer and get poorer. They're red and ready to take our jobs, our homes, our dignity. They're red and ready to leave us behind while they live their best lives. Today, I say to you, especially the youth of Trinidad and Tobago, the voices, the issues facing our country demand attention. Our attention, our input, our ability to get involved, no to change, no. This very moment in time is filled with greater opportunity than ever before. This is what makes us so important. I encourage all young people to take full advantage of this opportunity to create change. Talk to your friends, families, get involved. Keep your eyes, ears, and hearts open and speak out for what you think is right. I am here today to say that we cannot continue to play by the rules of this toxic environment created by the PNM. There have been countless citizens, every walk of life, who have peacefully stood in front of the Parliament begging for the PNM to please hear their cries for assistance. Answer this question. Has the PNM done anything? Nationwide hardship just continues to rise. Brothers and sisters, I'm not about to beg the PNM government to care for our future. The PNM has ignored us for 49 years, and the PNM will continue to ignore us. They have shown us who they are, and I believe them. So we will not ask the PNM for anything. Instead, I ask you to start treating this as a crisis. I ask you to realize that the PNM has failed us. I ask you to choose your family's future. I ask you that when the time comes, vote PNM out. Ladies and gentlemen, as I stand here before you today, I'm inspired and hopeful. My hope for our future is Ms. Bisessa, because you know why better is always possible. I am proud to reaffirm my support for Mrs. Bisessa and what she and her party represents. Mrs. Bisessa, I thank you for being the compassionate, fearless leader that you are, and I stand with you. Thank you.
Live from the constituency of Toko Sangre Grande, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alison Holder Clement.
I know who I am. I know who God says I am. What He says I am. Where He says I'm at. I know who I am. Who God says I am. I know who I am. To the Honorable Leader of the UNC, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Members of Parliament, Senators, good evening to the great people of Toko, Sangre Grande, and environs. This evening, I take this opportunity to give honor to God, our Heavenly Father, Creator of all things, and to the leader of the UNC, family, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And we can do better than that. Approximately 8 years ago, we made an assignation with destiny when we selected Mrs. Persad-Bissessar as our Prime Minister. And now the time has come for us to vindicate our pledge to allow the soul of our suppressed and distressed nation to resolve the decree and say enough is enough. The people of Toko Sangre Grande and the nation at large finds it difficult to continue to sit back and accept mediocrity, stagnancy, inefficiencies, inadequacy, impotence, just to name a few. To disguise their agenda of hate and spite, they create distractions based on falsehood and arrogance, which is found to be barren of any moral value. In the midst of ongoing economic gloom, where prices continue to increase, jobs continue to decrease, breadwinners are out of jobs and cannot provide for their families. All this while, some rest comfortably after consuming 5-course meals. When placed in a position to serve, it is not when you desire, but when your service is so required. And can we say today that under the current governance, today is that taking place? We can say under the leadership of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, there were numerous improvements made to our constituency, Toko Sangre Grande. I'm just naming one because there are so much. My fellow constituencies and my fellow colleagues named the rest. So I'm naming one, and that's the Valencia Bypass Road, which eliminated the traffic, which we had to endure for years. We had increased employment, where everyone was able to benefit. The laborers, the men on the ground, the single mothers and fathers, the smallest of men were able to acquire some measure of income through several implemented programs by the government of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. Today, can we say that it's the same under the present governance of the PNM led by Mr. Rowley? The song I was introduced with says, I know who I am. I'm walking in power. Do we understand the power that we have? And with that power, the changes we can make as a people once stand united. In this relay of life, the onus is on us to forge ahead and see the light at the end of the tunnel. For our present situation does not determine the ultimate. The race is not for the swiftest, but those that endure to the end. We are coming to the end of our race, where we must pick up the pace, take the baton as a people, as a community, and as a family united. And as we do so, I encourage and urge you to know the power that rests in us to see it through the end in victory. Young people like myself, it is not too late. It is only the beginning. Chapter 1 of the book we are writing. I too had struggles, nothing to eat. I studied under the lights of Edward Street, the street light. That's Cross Trace. We sold kurma, we sold pylori to get to and from school. I had my wilderness experiences and forged ahead with many other disappointments. Who knows what lies ahead? I can determine what does, and so can you. We are the chosen generation of tomorrow. I'm asking questions. Will you allow us to take your hands through the journey of life and that of your children? Will you take advantage of the opportunities which will be made possible by the governance led by Mrs. Prasad Bisesa for yourself and for your children? question continues. Will you remain in a state of poverty and continue to worry about the next meal? Will you create avenues? Build that life where you are able to support your parents when they can no longer go on. Ensure your children graduate from university. They have done their part, and it is the decision that we make today that will determine our tomorrow. We fall 7 times, we get back up 8. To the parents and to the elderlies who build that foundation for us to build and tread upon. Nothing lasts forever, and in all doings, errors are made. But contingency plans are formed. They must be formed. And today, the opportunity presents itself to you, the elderlies and parents, to understand the time at hand and the season in which we are now. To allow the fair opportunity to your children and the generation to come to be afforded the opportunities that were not available to you, and put that contingency plan into effect. Whilst there may be the appearance of tumor in the body, it is not malignant but benign. We have found that machinery to reveal and remove all tumor cells, not with chemotherapy to affect good ones in the process, but to remove without destroying others. When given the opportunity to serve again, the UNC family, led by Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, we have in place extensive programs to rehabilitate the minds and psyche of the broken and faint-hearted, yet to rebuild the morals and help to rebuild society whose spirit has been tested by the current circumstances. Many are called, but few are chosen. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, we are the chosen generation of tomorrow, called for to show his excellence. All we require in life, God has given us. We know who we are. We know what we have and the power we have, and invested in us to make a difference. People of Toco Sangre Grande and environs, this evening is an evening of reflection and decision-making that will make the difference for the community and impact the country. Be the change we want to see. Be what we are called and created to be. Be winners, be victors. As we usher into the new chapter of the incomplete book called Journey, let us unite and make our beloved community and country the place where we all live together in harmony, where we step out from the old into the new, and in these challenging and trying times, we take the pledge of dedication to the service of Trinidad and Tobago. Like Maya Angelou, we will rise. Like Martin Luther King, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And with victory, we will say, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Like the prophet Timothy, we will say, we have fought the good fight. We have finished the race, and we have kept the faith. Like King Solomon, a horse is prepared for the day of battle, but victory belongs to the Lord. And with these few words, I will conclude and say to the people of Toco, Sangre Grande, and environs, God bless you, and I assure you tonight that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. gentlemen of Toko Sandy Grande, and to the mass media, this evening I am elated to have been granted the privilege of introducing a person who is special to everyone gathered in this here platform. A woman who, by her many accomplishments, have paved the way for thousands of young people in this country. This individual is a very devoted, compassionate, selfless, empathetic, nurturing, loving, well-achieved history maker, a strong and fierce leader that only desires the best for her country and its people, without biases towards creed, color, or race. She is the only leader we can say ever had the people of the nation at the front burner on her agenda and at heart. The only leader who has acted without forsaking, but always thinking about the future of Trinidad and Tobago. This individual went into office as Trinidad and Tobago's 7th and first ever female Prime Minister. Not once has she lost compassion for humanity, still seeking the best interests of her country and its people. Battered but never surrendered, willing to regain her rightful position as the political leader and future leader of the government. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as I now formally introduce to you Senior Counsel, Leader of the Opposition, our political leader, and soon destined to be Trinidad and Tobago's 2020 second female Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessar.
Bring down the bomb, love, I say.
Wow. You know, in the meetings, I say, bring down the power. Let's thank our last speaker. That was real power and energy. Give her a round of applause.
Bring down the bomb, love, I say. Bring down the power. The bomb, love, I say.
So good evening, UNC family. Good evening to all of you. MPs, senators, executives. A special welcome tonight to former Mayor of Arima, Mr. Youssef. Please give him a round of applause. The powerful team who is with us on the platform tonight, I thank them. I heard all the speeches, fully energized, coming up and here. So I want to thank you all here. Toko Sandy Grande. Anybody from Toko Sandy Grande here this evening? You know, our meetings, each meeting that I come to, each meeting is bigger than the last one I went to. And I see the massive crowds here tonight. It's a good sign. I thank you all for coming out. And this constituency is well known for great things coming out of Toko Sandy Grande. Remember Kishore Walcott? Out of Toko Sandy Grande, yes? But there's another man who is making waves internationally. His name is Sham Mahabir. He was born in Grandy. He owns and operates a restaurant in East London. It's called Lyman, and it's local foods that he does there. He has been making waves in London. And I think on the 30th of May, he's going to have an international doubles day in London, taking our street food, popular food, out there in London. So, trainees are everywhere and doing well. You know, just last week, we listened to the Minister of Finance in the midterm budget review. Some people are calling it the Ministry of Finance, so not the Minister of Finance, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be so unkind to him. You know, they came to us, brought this midterm review to tell us everything is well, all is well. They are living in a fantasy world. Because I will ask you some questions, and which I asked in the Parliament as well. I'll ask you and you can answer me. Do you feel safer today than you did 4 years ago? Do you feel secure in your job? Well, some don't even have a job, huh? Has the economy improved? Do you feel confident enough to open a business? Are you getting better health care? Are your children getting a better education? Have they fixed or maintained your roads? Have they dealt with drainage? Are you getting basic utilities and most important, water? Are you getting water? Above all, in the 4th year of this Rowley government, has your quality of life improved? I listened to the young speakers as I was coming, and I listened to these when I was here, and what you get is a sense of hopelessness that is pervading our country now. The sense of fear, and that there is, what do you look forward to? 3 young engineers, brilliant young women. It pained me when I was coming listening to them that they can't get a job. It pained me. You go to school, children, go to school and learn well. Isn't that what we were told? Go to school and learn well. And here we have our young, brilliant people cannot get a job. Then we have more brilliant people here. I know, Lorne, you have told us your story. Lorne, too. Qualified, hardworking. What did they do to him? Take away his job. Take away his job. Every speaker here tonight spoke of the suffering that is taking place in our country. And they go to the Parliament, and outside the Parliament, what do they say? Don't worry, turn around, everything is fine, not to worry. And they will not bring one plan, one program, one policy to tell you how they will create jobs. Not one. Because that, to me, apart from the spiraling crime, to me the greatest downfall of any person is not to have a job. Can you imagine a father who has to go home in the evening, face his family, his wife and his children, and he doesn't have a pay packet? He doesn't know where the next plate of food is coming from to feed his family. There are thousands of families like that here in Trinidad, but they don't care. Everything is fine, turn around. Imber told us he could see clearly the rain is gone. Uptick, the economy is booming. They are living in a lala fantasy land. They do not go to the ground. But all they care about is friends. I tell you the 4 F's. Friends, family, financiers. And number 4 is who? Faris. But tonight I want to add another one. It's the 4 F's and the Y. And the Y is a young man. The minister of everything and the minister of nothing. I want to add him to the list. So they have no plans. They have no plans. Tonight I will share with you, on the last day I had even the book with the transformation plan. It might be in the car. I want to share with you some of the plans we have for the transformation of our economy, because what I am about trying to get the quality of life of everyone improved. How do we do that? We lift the economy. We transform the economy. We create jobs. That is what I am about. We are about to let us get TNT working again. Are you ready to join us in that journey? Let us get TNT working again. And so, this is their 4th year in office. Not a plan. They are a government of announcements. Announcements. I heard Joe Tony tell us tonight. They buy a boat before they build the port. And when they buy the boat, they told us the boat was for the port from Toco to ferry people across the Tobago back and forth. But what you do? Wrong side, upside down, reverse gear. They buy the boat. Now they come in to tell you they're building port in Toco. I want to tell you tonight, if any port is to be built in Toco, it will be under the watch of a UNC government. Because many years ago, it was a UNC government that came with the plan for the port, and this same man, this man who now calls himself Prime Minister, he was the one who came to Parliament and shut down the project for the Toco Port. So don't come now to talk about Toco Port. Nothing, as Joe told you. Those of you living here, you know nothing going on. And your 4th year in office, trust me, they have built nothing. They have constructed nothing. They have done nothing. You think in the last election you're getting a port? Don't let them fool you and mamagai you. Thank you. Don't take that bribe here and mamagai. Don't take the chain up. You know, elections coming? It's pure chain up, government of announcements. That's all they're about. And so, what they tell you to do, what is their plan? They say, listen, you know what you have to do? Energy is so important. So they tell you, pray for oil. Their water policy is what? Pray for rain. Their crime plan is pray that the criminals will get a conscience and start to behave good. Look, I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. But what this country needs now, in addition to divine intervention, is for them to call an election now. Call an election now. Call it now. And so join. I believe in prayer. So let us pray together, and let us pray for this Rowley government to go and to go now. And you know, Mr. Rowley, be careful what you ask for, because you might very well get it. I want you to look at this video, please, if we can put it on track. Just take a few minutes and I will sit. Watch the video.
When you hear Mrs. Prasad Bisesa say that they built 100 schools while they were in office, I heard her with that nonsense last week again. They built 100 schools. I want to ask the media to ask Mrs. Prasad Bisesa to give you, the media, a list of the 100 schools that they built when they were in government.
I think that he spoke about on the political platform approximately a week or week and a half ago. And that is that he wanted us from the opposition to give him the list of schools that we have constructed during our period 2010 to 2015. But it is incumbent for me, as the former Minister of Education, to give the names of the schools, because the Honorable Prime Minister has asked for the lists of the schools. Under the management of Mrs. Bisesa as Prime Minister, the Ministry of Education constructed and completed 69 early childhood education centers, 31 primary schools, 6 secondary schools. In addition, additional blocks were built at another secondary school. And for answering the Prime Minister's question, the 31 primary schools completed, and it will include those schools that were opened in 3 of the sitting ministers now in government, including the Prime Minister. The Rosilac Presbyterian Primary School, Riversdale Presbyterian, Tunapuna Government Primary, Balmain Presbyterian, Pinal Rock Road SDMS, Mount Pleasant GPS Soledad Road North Claxton Bay, Palo Seco Government Primary School, Lengua Presbyterian Primary School, Arima New Government Primary School, Tulsa Trace SDMS, Barrackmore Astor Rees Road Barrackmore, St. Barbara Spiritual Shelter Baptist, Echo Village Anglican Primary School, Monkey Tongue Government Primary School, Febo Village Government Primary, Enterprise Government Primary, Union Presbyterian in Hermitage Road, Manzanilla Nareva Government Primary, Lower Komoto Government Primary, Kanhai Presbyterian, Charlieville Presbyterian, Egypt Village Government Primary, and the Minister of Public Administration would remember when we opened her school together at Rose Hill RC at 6 Lacoule Street, Laventille Road, East Dry River. Rio Claro Presbyterian, Grand Street, and the Minister of Finance now will also remember when we went up to Paramin and we opened the Paramin RC school in his presence. And we have photographs to demonstrate that. And also the Honorable Prime Minister would remember when our Prime Minister at that time gave him a yellow buttercup when we were opening the Point Cumana RC Belleran Street in Point Cumana. 26. And New Grant Government Primary, Capdeville Government Primary, Pinal Queenam Government Primary, Monroe Road Hindu SDMS, and Durham Village SDMS. Mr. Deputy Speaker, these are the 31 primary schools that we constructed during 2010. The 6 secondary schools completed were the Marabella South, Gopal Lands, Marabella, Aranguez North Boundary Road, San Juan, Couva West Secondary at Balizier Street in Couva, Princestown East, Matilda Junction, St. Julian Village, Princestown, with the member for Princestown, 5 Rivers Secondary School, which is now ravaged, St. Augustine Secondary. An additional block was completed in Diego Martin North, St. Lucian Road, Diego Martin, with 17 additional classrooms. The Haji construction was paid $60 million by that last administration, and they left the country without doing anything to these early childhood education centers. So we had to inherit many of these contractors who they were supposed to be paying were never paid. So we set about to construct those 24 early childhood education, and amongst them, so out of the 69 early childhood care and education centers we constructed, Aranguez Johnny King Road, Arima New, Aruka Pine Haven, Bamboo in Jafat Street, Bamboo, Ben Lomond, Bonaire at corner of Olivine Avenue and Blue Mussel Street, Brothers, number 73 Garth Road, Williamsville. These are the early childhood education centers. Buonintendo, Hillside Gardens, Carlson Field, Tasker Road, Cashew Gardens, Caroni SDMS, Cora Royal Road, La Goya Road, Cora, Clark Rochard Road, Clark Rochard and Rochard Road, Corinth Hills, HDC site, Kunjal, number 214 Kunjal Main Road, Kush, the corner of Kunapo, Southern Main Road, the Kush Village, Edinburgh South, HDC site, Egypt Oasis in Das Trace in Kunopia, Egypt Trace in Endeavour Road, El Dorado ECC, Enterprise in Cedar Road, Faizabad, number 22 Road, Gasparillo ECC, Golconda, Harmony Hall, number 24, Jacob Hill, 25, La Horquetta, South Gladius Street, La Horquetta, La Rofin, Lisa Gardens, Lower Komoto, Madras, Malabar, Pomegranate Avenue, Malabar in corner Lennox Yearwood Expressway, Polybutodio, 7 Flamingo. Maloney in Jacana Avenue, Maloney Gardens. Maloney in Flamingo Boulevard, Maloney. Marabella Light Pole 51, that's number 35. Maracas ECC 36. Mirage Hill 37. Maraval, Montcoco Road, I pass there and I see it all the time. Mendez, Pinal Queenham Road, Milton, corner Temple Street and Judingham Drive. Morva, Mount Hope, Pioneer Drive and Sunshine Avenue, Monroe Road, SDMS, Warren Road, Cunupia. Orupun Gardens, number 44. Palmis, 45. Phoenix Park Road in California. Pleasantville, Prince Albert Street, Pleasantville. Quarry Village, La Brea Trace. Ragunanan Road Enterprise, number 49. Rancho Comado, number 6, South Trace, Rancho Comado, 50. Ravine Sab, Londonville, that's in my constituency. Reform Government, ECC Reform. Retrench HDC site, Roystonia in Salaka Drive. Salazar Trace in Salazar, Point Forte. Sonilado, ECC. Southern Gardens, Springvale, ECC in Springvale. St. Ambrose, Anglican, Jackman Trace, Cunupia. St. Anne's, number 8, St. Anne's Gardens, St. Anne's. Number 61, St. Augustine Corner, Warren and St. John's Road. 62, St. Barbara Spiritual Shelter Baptist. Members will remember that. 63, St. Columba Anglican. 64, St. Mary's Village. 65, Union Hall. 66, Valencia in Armadillo Drive, New Valencia Gardens, Valencia. Wallerfield, corner of Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Amazon Drive, Wallerfield. Warrenville, TIA, Robert Trace, that's number 68, and number 69, Wellington Road, HDC site, Wellington Road, Davie. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in answer to the Prime Minister's question, we have in Parliament today given the list of the 69 early childhood education centers which we constructed and completed, the 31 primary schools which we started and completed, 6 secondary schools which were completed by us, and an additional block. Mr. Speaker, these are the 169 ECC centers, 21 primary schools, 6 secondary schools completed under the Kamala Prasad Bisesa administration.
Thank you for your patience. You asked for it, better take it. I think someone else might put it a different way, but just take it. That was in 5 years. This is their 4th year. They have not built one school. Not a single school have they built. So when they come with the announcements, they're not going to get it done. As I said, it's a chain up with elections coming. So they announced recently they're going to build 6,000 houses in fiscal 2020. My good God. In 4 years, you didn't build one house. You're now promising you go and build 6,000 houses. I don't believe a word that you say. Election chain up. So in the months coming up, more announcements will come. They will come, just announce we are going to do this, we are going to do that. But if they could not have done it in 4 years, you think you're getting it done in 1 year? Can't get it done. Can't get it done. But you see what we did when we were in government with your help, what we did projects that you could see, you could actually see it. You could touch it. They have spent $200 billion. And there is not one project that you can see or touch or feel to show for $200 billion. And then when the Prime Minister stands on a platform and he talks about $1.4 billion, how much medicine you could get for that, how much schools you could build, knowing that they give nobody medicine and giving nobody no building no schools, he stands there raising like a red flag. Well, I want to raise a big red flag tonight. A big red flag, and we cover it with yellow when we are done. And I bring this to your attention. Today, the Privy Council delivered a very important judgment with respect to a claim arose in Trinidad and Tobago by one Ravi Balgagan Maharaj against Petrotrin. Petrotrin. They want to say Petrotrin shut down and Petrotrin don't have money. Do you remember how that started? Where that came from? When we were in government, we authorized probes into suspicious corrupt transactions under the PNM. One of those had to do what is known as a gas to liquids project. World GTL, it's called. Gas to liquids. Monies that were borrowed under a man named Malcolm Jones. You remember that name? Money borrowed under Malcolm Jones. He was in charge of the Petrotrin. Dealt this country a disastrous blow. And that is what we are still paying for today. We haven't been paid for it yet. But that has been one of the major reasons for the downfall of Petrotrin. Okay? And the closure of Petrotrin. Heard the young ones there saying they want to work Petrotrin. Well, listen, come election day, take your voting finger and vote for the UNC. Tell the Prime Minister, call election, do not sell Petrotrin. Keep it open, call the election, and we will find a way to keep that refinery going. You will remember that this government did two major things in relation to Petrotrin when they came into office. The first thing they did was to take that same Malcolm Jones and put him in a cabinet subcommittee known as a Committee on Energy. The same Malcolm Jones, I'll say more about him in a minute. Same Malcolm Jones, who was chairman of Petrotrin at the time when Petrotrin incurred massive cost overruns and project failures. These were the same World GTL project, another project known as gas optimization, and a third project known as ultra-low sulfur diesel project, USLD project. These three projects. Up to today, of course, none of those projects is off the ground. Because what happened? The same Malcolm Jones was responsible for the 1.6 US billion international bonds that are still due today. You know how much is that? $1.6 billion. 11 billion TT dollars, man. These three projects sunk. None got off the ground. None. $11 billion of your taxpayers' money. And you know what Malcolm Jones did? He signed up to guarantee for Petrotrin to guarantee to pay back this loan now. So all these projects bust, if you want to put it in layman language. They bust. But Petrotrin, through the hand of Malcolm Jones and his board, signed a guarantee. That is why we are owing all that money up to today. They will become due in August. That's the bullet payment they keep saying they have to make. And that was like a bullet into the heart of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, those projects, and Malcolm Jones. So look what happened. The same Malcolm Jones took out more than $3 billion in this failed gas-to-liquid plant. And they took Malcolm Jones when they got into office. First thing, they put him to chair the energy, to sit on the energy subcommittee of the cabinet. There's a common way of putting it, is they put in the cat to watch the butter. When you know the cat likes the butter. you're putting the thief to watch the money. I'm not saying he was a thief, you know, but it's like you're putting the man who was responsible for $11 billion of debt in the same energy committee now to run the energy affairs. The second thing they did, after they put Mr. Jones there, and may his soul rest in peace, by the way, he's now passed on. Same Malcolm Jones, second thing they did is they withdrew the case Petrotrin had filed against Malcolm Jones and the board. You know, not even 1 month had passed. I said we did the probes, we saw this money was drained out, and so we sued Petrotrin, sued Malcolm Jones and the board responsible for this $11 billion and $3 billion for WGTL. Sued them. Rowley and his crew and his AG Faris gets into government, and Faris strikes again. Strikes again. What did he do? He withdrew the claim against Malcolm Jones. When? You remember when was the election? September 2015. Within 1 month, in October 2015. That was one of the first things they did to withdraw the case against their friend. They withdrew the case. Case collapsed. And the reason they drew the case now gets very interesting, you know. There are a lot of questions. The advice to shut down the Malcolm Jones case, you know who was the lawyer who gave the advice? A name that is all over the country right now. A fellow named Vincent Nelson, QC. The plot thickens, you know. What a tangled web we weave when we set out to deceive. But one thing we know is the truth will always come forth. Truth will come in the light. So they went pronto, fast. Pulled the case out. They even had to pay Malcolm Jones money now when they withdrew the case. And so Mr. Nelson QC gave the advice to withdraw the case. This is the same Vincent Nelson who, before that, had advised the government, Petrotrin, to sue Malcolm Jones. So the same lawyer who says sue Malcolm Jones, government changed, what happened? He turned around and backtrack, backpedal, and say, withdraw the case. Change his tune. Changed his tune, the same lawyer changed his tune. When that case was filed against Malcolm Jones, we had another very distinguished lawyer who gave the advice. So Nelson gave the advice, good case, go ahead. But another very distinguished lawyer, Mr. Russell Martineau, also advised. So we had two seniors advising. But when government changed, Mr. Nelson backtracked. So Vincent Nelson, in 1 month after the new AG was sworn in, hey, by the way, these fellas so back to front, you know that AG was sworn in twice? Try and remember, you know, from day one, when this government came in, they were back to front. You had to swear in the Prime Minister first. They swore the AG in first. Try and remember. And when they realized, oh my God, imagine the AG should have known that is not the protocol or the law. So they pull him back, and they send Mr. Rowley, they swear Rowley, and they say, Faris, come. Do it a second time. Well, that will be the last time. We must make sure it's the last time that they ever swear. The last time. Yeah. And do you know now, the plot thickens, you know, this thing could make a good Hollywood movie. Or Bollywood, or Nollywood. It could make a very good movie. You know who was a lawyer for Mr. Malcolm Jones? You could take a guess. When Petrotrin sued Malcolm Jones, do you know who was the lawyer? It was none other than the Minister of Everything and the Master of Nothing, Stuart Young. Stuart Young. You see how the plot, the web that was woven. And so it goes. And Vincent Nelson now, government change, says he based his advice on witness statements made by Petrotrin executives during a thing called the World GTL arbitration. These are statements the government didn't want you to see. So Nelson wrote one paragraph and said, no good case again, go ahead with it. And he said he did it on the basis of two witness statements. So Mr. Maraj applied to get a copy of these witness statements because we want to see what was so bad inside of those statements that a whole $1 billion case was withdrawn. The government refused to give it, Petrotrin refused to give it. They fought the case all the way, went to the Privy Council, and that's where we are today, the Privy Council judgment about getting these documents, and this is what the Privy Council had to say. So far as concerns possible benefits for the public interest of disclosure of the Batiste and Chantak statements, the board considers, and the board being the Privy Council board, considers that it is arguable that they are of significant weight with a view to securing transparency and accountability in relation to relevant decisions in a number of respects. The court said further that these statements, the disclosure of these statements, would enable the public to be fully informed about those matters and Mr. Jones's involvement in them, so that they could, if appropriate, criticize or oppose the appointment of Mr. Jones to roles within the government. They said further, disclosure of the documents will enable the public to understand and, if appropriate, criticize decisions to bring the civil claim against Mr. Jones. And they said further, there are grounds for thinking that the decision to abandon the case against Mr. Jones may have been influenced by political factors. This is not Kamala. This is a Privy Council in London. There are grounds for thinking that the decision to abandon the claim against Jones may have been influenced by political factors. The Council said further, they noted that the government, through a minister, had predicted the case would be dropped before. Minister said, case going to drop when? Before Winston Nelson gave the advice in October. This is what the Privy Council said. This is in view of comments made by a government minister on the 8th and 9th October 2015 in advance of receipt of the written advice of 11 October 2015 from Mr. Nelson QC, indicating that the claim against Jones was likely to be abandoned. So this minister was a seer man. Before they even got the advice to abandon the case, minister out there saying, case going to be abandoned. And so, the Privy Council took issue with the quality of advice given by Nelson, and they said that there is the appearance of involvement of the Attorney General in this matter. The Attorney General announced that the Board of Petrin had decided to withdraw the case in February 2016. And then he said it the same day, the advice from October, in February 2016. And in March 1, he told the country. So there was great media interest and public interest. Why did you withdraw the case against Malcolm Jones? Why? Why did you do it? And the questions were whether the AG had been involved in taking out one of their friends from the case in the court. And the Privy Council finally ruled in favor of Mr. Rafi Baragobin Maraj, and they have upheld his application to get the documents. So, but he still has to come back to the court down here, so the story unfolds and continues. We will know what are in those statements, whether they were sufficient to withdraw the case against Malcolm Jones, or was it just a case of friend helping friend, PNM. You know, the PNM says they always take care of their own, eh? They only take care of their own when there's the big boys up there, but they're not taking care of their own right here in Toco Sandy Grande or in any part of Trinidad and Tobago. So we shall see how that carries on. I know time is against us, but I did promise you I would talk a little about plans we have for Toco Sandy Grande in particular, and in general. I had planned, this is the economic transformation plan. We have said that we will want to create 50,000 jobs. I have made the point before, we did it once, we have a track record, we can do it again, and these are the plans that we have. For Toco Sandy Grande, several projects that we have in mind, which would include encouraging investment in resort, ecotourism, and cultural tourism. We work to revitalize the food production sector, the agricultural sector. We will implement strict regulation and monitoring of the quarry industry. We will improve on social and physical infrastructure to serve the needs of additional housing in the area. Some of this will be done by the HDC and some in public-private partnerships. We will improve the functional efficiency of the Sandy Grande Town Centre. We will engage in medium-intensity industrial development in the Guayco Sandy Grande area to bring jobs and income to the region. This means that the region will be developed with a community core with a range of services to to make the community as self-sufficient as possible. Some services that will support in your area here, Quaiko Sangre Grande area, will be banking services, professional offices, retail trades, restaurants, entertainment, market development, and of course, government services. Buildings in the community core, the law will be changed to allow you to go high up, those who want to build and have a small piece of land, high up. And there are several other plans which we'll drill down with your team here, your coordinator, Joseph Tony, and his team. And we trust that we can get Toco Sangre Grande working again, as we will all of Trinidad and Tobago. So these are just some very few plans. There were others I wanted to share, but I see the time. We had a lot of brilliant speakers on tonight, so time did go very fast. So as I close, I want to remind you that we can make a change, we can make a difference. You in Toco Sangre Grande can make a difference to the quality of your life and the life of your children. But the only way you can do it, as one of the speakers told us, you have to make sure you're registered to vote. Because if you don't have a ticket, you have no chance. I saw somebody won the $14 million lottery. Where was that person? I forgot to even buy a ticket. So I congratulate them. You must have a ticket to get a chance. So make sure you're registered to vote. The young ones especially, impress on them, go out, register to vote. That's the only way that you can make a difference. I want to thank you for all your support here. I want to give you the assurance, I say it every night, that I will give work for you, continue to fight for you until the last breath is gone from my body. I tell you I love you very much. I tell you that half of me belongs to you, the other half I give to you. So all of me belongs to you. And I say, you have had other leaders before me. You will have leaders after me. But guess what? You will never ever have a leader who loves you as much as I do. Thank you, and show me your voting finger. Show me your voting finger. Show me your voting finger.
Show me your voting finger. Vote for UNC, kick BNM out of power. Show me your voting finger. You're rolling with anti-Kamla. Show me your voting finger. Yes, vote for the UNC, my lord. Vote for the UNC. If you love your family, vote for the UNC. Go fix back the economy. Vote for the UNC. If you love your country, since Rowley in power, the crime rate get higher. Gas turned to water, now we facing the fire. People balling, people suffering. All over the country, people not working. If you want things get better for your son and your daughter, boy, anti-Kamla is the answer. Just in the anti for you and your family. Everybody go be irie when you vote for the UNC. Boy, vote for the UNC. If you love your family, vote for the UNC. You build back the economy, vote for the UNC. If you love up your country, let me see you. Show me your voting finger. Vote for UNC. Kick me in them.
Bring down the power of love, I say. Bring down the power. The power of love, I say, is the greatest power. Stop hell and damnation. Bring down the power. Love to heal a nation is the greatest power. A wind of destruction is blowing over this land. And now the earth is a trembling with man's oppression.